Shura God Emperor Chapter 1, Young Patriarch. Chenbei Dynasty, Jingqing University Field. It is the cold winter period, a thick layer of ice has formed on the eaves, and the entire capital city is shrouded in a snow-white cold. Early in the morning, inside a compound to the northwest of the capital, there was the sound of boxing practice. This is the place where the young masters and ladies of the capital practice boxing for senior officials and nobles. There are instructors and various weapons. But at this moment, there is only one young man in the big campus. The boxing teenager has handsome eyebrows and is about 15 years old, but he is thin. The boy was punching here, and there was a big yellow dog in the corner, sleeping soundly. I will definitely reach the innate state, soon. Xiao Yu sighed slightly, his eyes very firm. Soon he worked hard to feel the changes in his dantian. It has been several years since he has reached the environmental realm, but he has made no progress at all, but Xiao Yu has never given up. He believes he will definitely break through this level. The Chenbei dynasty is vast, prosperous. It is a great empire. Cultivation is popular here. From your majesty to the common people, they are proud of being able to practice. To truly step into the ranks of cultivators, this innate realm is the only way to go. Because in order to reach the innate realm, it is necessary to condense the sea of air first, and the sea of air can gather before it can absorb the spiritual power of heaven and earth, and then enter the air-gathering realm automatically. The only difference between the acquired realm and the innate realm is that the acquired realm can be stepped into through the physical strengthening of ordinary people. But to step into the innate realm, you must rely on your own insight to condense a sea of energy in your dantian. This is a hurdle to step into a true practitioner. Xiao Yu tried for 5 full years, but his dantian didn't react at all. But he was not discouraged. He came here to practice boxing early in the morning, regardless of the cold and heat, just to allow himself to cross the acquired realm to the innate realm. It was with these beliefs that Xiao Yu didn't give up. He knew that he was physically weak since he was a child, so he spent more time practicing than ordinary people. I still can't feel the sea of qi, let's continue. After saying that, Xiao Yu meditated and slowly felt the changes in his dantian. At this moment, suddenly 4 guards with swords came into the yard, and the leader was a teenager. Hey, you guys, hurry up, Hakioji is going to eat dog meat tonight, quickly drag the dog back and slaughter it. The boy arrogantly commanded, completely ignoring the existence of Xiao Yu. Stop it. Xiao Yu's expression changed drastically, and he shouted angrily, rushing over and banging him up. The dog under the tree was called Rhubarb. He was born half the height of a person and was Xiao Yu's only friend for so many years. Go away. This young man is Hakioji's escort, and his strength is to reach the strength of the preliminary Qi-gathering realm. The Qi-gathering realm is the first realm of the building 3 realms, and then the Qi-gathering realm and the Qi-ling realm. In each great realm, there are 6 minor realms, namely the early stage, the middle stage, the later stage, the small perfection, the great perfection, and the peak. Stepping into the early stage of the Qi-gathering realm is the real cultivator. Su Ming's palm was shot, and he had hundreds of kilograms of strength. With a wave of his hand, Xiao Yu was shot and flew out and fell 10 meters away. When Xiao Yu didn't notice, the glass globe pendant he had been wearing was crushed by himself. What no one had noticed was that an invisible energy suddenly radiated from this pendant, which was directly submerged in his mind. The worm shakes the tree. With the power of your acquired realm, you dare to fight against my Qi-gathering realm? Su Ming's eyes were very disdainful. Su Ming, you dare to hit me, you are the following crime, you are looking for death. Xiao Yu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and pointed at the young man angrily. The Xiao family was a big clan in the capital, and he was even the young head of the Xiao family. According to dynasty laws, Su Ming was to be executed. Following offense. Do you really consider yourself to be the young patriarch of the Xiao family? In the capital, you are a superfluous existence. You don't know the heights of the earth and the literati are also trying to cultivate. Don't forget that you are just a sick child, and the Xiao family is really you. Shame, no, the entire capital is ashamed of you. I really don't understand, what is the meaning of you or? Su Ming raised his brows, very disdainful. If Xiao Yu were a commoner, he would not be able to cultivate if he could not cultivate. It was not a big deal, but the question was whether he was the only male of the Xiao family or the young head of the family. The Xiao family is a big clan in the capital. The reason why it is a big clan is not because of how many powerful practitioners from the Xiao family, but because generations of the Xiao family have held pens for a living. People have practiced. In a dynasty that emphasized martial arts but neglected literature, and practiced well, Xiao Yu's idiotic dreaming practice, together with the entire Xiao family, had become the laughing stock of the capital. And now this guy really doesn't know good or bad, does he dare to stop what Hakioji wants? Wow! The originally sleeping rhubarb barked, because it was pulled by 4 guards with knives, very reluctant. Let go of it. Xiao Yu was furious. This big yellow dog has been with him for 7 or 8 years, accompanying him when he was the most lonely. If he hadn't been accompanied by rhubarb in these years, he really didn't know how he spent these days. Something good or bad? Su Ming was also angry, and he hit it out with a vicious punch. It seemed that because of anger, Xiao Yu's blood seemed to be boiling and burning. He suddenly stretched out his hand, and Su Ming's punch was so caught by Xiao Yu. What? Su Ming saw that Xiao Yu's eyes turned into a red color. At the same time, his fists became numb as if they were clamped by iron tongs. I asked you to let it go, didn't you hear it? An extremely cold breath filled the entire martial arts hall. The coldness was like coming from the abyss below 9 nether, and everyone's back was numb in an instant. The few guards with knives were all pale and couldn't help but back up a few steps. Xiao Yu's eyes were like icy thorns, staring at Su Ming. At this moment, Su Ming was speechless in horror. You don't want to die, get out. Xiao Yusen said coldly, and then pushed. Su Ming was immediately pushed several meters away. Su Ming was extremely surprised. Why is such a trash suddenly resembling a person? Did he hide his strength? But it's not right. He is obviously the strength of the acquired realm. But he had clearly felt the kind of fear from the depths of his soul just now. Xiao Yu, you have a kind. You dare to defy everything the 8th prince wants, just wait to die. Su Ming gritted his teeth, although he was unwilling, but he could only retreat temporarily. Master Su, what should we do? How do we go back and explain to the Hakioji? One of the guards whispered. Ha! This kid is just returning to the light, waste is always waste. Come tonight, if he dares to stop it again. We will kill him. Rhubarb. Xiao Yu walked to the side of Rhubarb and stroked Rhubarb's head, his eyes filled with determination, and said, I will not let anyone take you away. Even if I try my best, I will protect you. What Xiao Yu didn't notice was that the Huang's eyes suddenly flashed with expression. That night, several figures sneaked into the Xiao family's mansion. They moved into the courtyard where Xiao Yu was, and then touched under the tree. A total of 9 knives picked up and fell, all aimed at the rhubarb. Wang. Rhubarb was just handed over and was hit several times before being cut to death. These people were Su Ming and several guards with swords. Su Ming grinned and said, seeing you are so cool during the day, I will kill your dog today to see how high you can jump. Suddenly, the door was opened, and Xiao Yu rushed out as soon as he heard the sound. When he saw the rhubarb lying in a pool of blood, his eyes instantly turned red. Rhubarb. You guys are looking for death. When he saw Su Ming and the others, Xiao Yu roared and blasted out with one punch. You trash, you. Originally thought Xiao Yu didn't have any power and couldn't make many storms, but when Xiao Yu blasted out a punch, a breath of extremely terrifying death enveloped him like a heavy hammer. Boom boom. All of the 9 people flew away, vomiting blood. How is this possible? In the night, Xiao Yu's eyes looked extremely strange, and the entire yard was shrouded in that terrifying killing intent. He is weird. Go. Su Ming yelled, and immediately left with a few people. Xiao Yu didn't chase them, but saw the motionless and dead rhubarb. His heart was bleeding. He hated himself for not being able to protect even his only friend. He hated his weakness even more, and a kind of incomparable self-blame and shame suddenly came to his heart. After a while, not knowing whether it was because of shame or fatigue, Xiaoyu passed out into a coma. Shura God Emperor Chapter 2, Sacrificial Assembly. When Xiaoyu woke up, she suddenly found herself lying on the bed. Huh? Just now? Am I dreaming? Xiaoyu rubbed his temples, and suddenly remembered what happened before falling asleep, and quickly got up and ran out. Rhubarb? Xiaoyu shouted, and then looked around. There was nothing unusual outside the yard. It was still as quiet as usual. Next to a tree in the yard, the rhubarb was sleeping soundly. How is this possible? Rhubarb Mingming. He remembered that Su Ming brought a group of guards with knives to kill Rhubarb last night. Xiaoyu was confused, is it really a dream? But if it's a dream, it's too real, right? He walked to Rhubarb, touched the sleeping Rhubarb, recalling the illusory scene last night, his fists clenched unconsciously. He took a deep breath. Whether it was dreams or facts, he deeply understood that without strength, he could only be trampled on. In fact, Xiaoyu was not the son of the Xiao family. According to his parents, he picked up Xiaoyu in the woods when he was out. Of course, whether or not the Xiao family personally, his parents treat themselves as if they were personally. Therefore, Xiaoyu has worked hard for so many years and did not give up, in order to let the Xiao family compete with his parents. Tomorrow is the sacrificial meeting. This is the last time Xiaoyu has participated in the sacrificial meeting, because after today, he will be 16 years old. According to the saying in the dynasty, as long as Xiaoyu can't enter the innate realm after the sacrificial meeting, then he must really give up. Xiaoyu didn't think so much. The night was very long, with countless stars shining in the dark night, but one of them was exceptionally bright. On the second day, the entire palace was full of lights and festoons, and it was very lively. The palaces, pavilions with vermilion red walls all appeared a lively scene. In front of the main hall, piled up altars with many sacrifices, chickens, ducks, fish, cattle, sheep, pigs. Countless people such as civil servants and military attaches, princes and generals, princes and concubines gathered here. Because today is not only the whole country, but also the entire Qinbei dynasty. As large as a dynasty, as small as cities, towns and villages, there will be sacrifices. Of course, nothing is more exciting than the 16-year-old teenage girls. Look, isn't this the young patriarch of the Xiao family? What young patriarch, he is just a sick child. After today, he is going to hold a pen. Huh, I'm almost 16 years old, and I'm still here to participate in the sacrificial ceremony. Isn't this considered a senior cultivator? Huh, don't be embarrassed. Many princes and nobles, the children of everyone, all mocked. Xiaoyu said with a cold face, and did not speak, even if it was the last chance, he would try it. At this time, the 8 princes walked over with Su Ming and stared at Xiaoyu with arrogance and contempt. Xiaoyu, I didn't expect you to come too. Xiaoyu looked cold. Hakioji, the sacrificial ceremony itself is a universal celebration, how can I not come? Hakioji sneered and stared at Xiaoyu and said, that's also the case. In any case, it's your last time, but I hope you don't feel sad to purchase, just a beast. Xiaoyu frowned further, I don't know what you are talking about. After talking about Xiaoyu, he turned and left. Hakioji was very upset when he saw Xiaoyu's reaction. He had originally thought of using this to humiliate Xiaoyu. Ha! Pretend, continue to pretend. Once the ritual meeting is over, I will make you feel bad. At this time, a young girl with long hair hanging down came over. This girl was born slim, with a graceful figure. She was born slim when she was about 15, and her chest was well developed. In particular, her exquisite appearance is like a geese and a fish, with a unique temperament in her liveliness, and her long sea-green hair attracts many wolf-like aristocratic children. At first glance, when she grows up, she must be a stunner who is a disaster for the country and the people. No, it should be said that she is now a beautiful woman. Wow, Tang Linger is still so beautiful. Hey, that's right, my father is a marshal. The strength is second only to your majesty. If I can marry such a daughter-in-law, I will definitely be the ancestor. Forget it, you, dwarf, poor and poor still want to eat swan meat? If you want to choose, choose me, rich, handsome. Roll. A group of people were discussing in a low voice, but they dared not approach her. Tang Linger ignored them and came to Xiao Yu's side. Xiao Yu. Tang Linger shouted. Xiao Yu looked at the arrival, smiled and nodded. Linger, you are here too. Tang Linger was the only person in the capital who took the initiative to talk to him and didn't dislike him at all. It can be said that Tang Linger is the only human friend besides rhubarb. Tang Linger just wanted to speak. At this time the seventh prince also came over. He completely ignored the existence of Xiao Yu. Instead, he smiled and said to Tang Linger, Linger, it turns out that you are here. I have some problems with my cultivation. You discuss it, why don't we find a place? Before the seventh prince finished speaking, Tang Linger just refused. No, let's get another day. The former smirked, and immediately glanced at Xiao Yu viciously. He knew it must be because of Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu, today is a really good day. You are here too. I thought your last sacrifice meeting would not come to wake up. Xiao Yu said, this is my last chance, I must come. Ha! I really hope you can wake up, otherwise if you go to hold the pen, I will feel sorry for your Xiao family. The seventh prince turned around and left. The attendant beside him whispered, Seventh prince, Tang Linger seems to have put his mind on Xiao Yu. Ha! It's just a waste. When today's sacrificial meeting is over, without me, he will be the laughing stock of the entire dynasty. By then, Tang Linger will not leave him naturally. Tang Linger's beautiful eyes flickered slightly and encouraged, Xiao Yu, leave them alone, you have to work hard. Xiao Yu smiled slightly. In the past few years, I am afraid that no one except Tang Linger will talk to him like this again. I will. Xiao Yu knew that in the dynasty, he had no strength, not to mention his brothers, even civilians outside would look down on him. He was used to these cynicism and alienation. Soon the sacrificial meeting began. After the national teacher sacrifices, it is the ladies of the palace singing and dancing. The sacrificial platform was filled with a lot of livestock. The National Normal University took a big hand for a while, and all these animals turned into blood fog and went straight to the sky, staining the entire sky with red clouds. The young boys who reached their age stood on the square one after another. After a while, the crowd exclaimed, only to see a ray of light falling on the young people. Shura God Emperor Chapter 3, Breakthrough. Everyone looked at the horizon nervously, because they were now waiting for the awakening of the God Run. It is said that the person who has awakened the pattern is the person who is favored by the gods, and is recognized by the gods, and will generally achieve higher future achievements than ordinary cultivators. The pattern is not only a peculiar power, but also a talent. Everyone knows that the opening of a pattern requires great talent, and every cultivator who opens a pattern is a person with great achievements and potential. Suddenly, a strange black pattern flew down from the sky, and then landed on the small arm of an 8-year-old boy, and then seemed to blend into his skin, turning into a black strange pattern. A cry of exclamation broke out from the crowd. My God, isn't that just Huang Guan's youngest son? The innate pattern was activated at the age of 8. Another future powerhouse is about to be born. Have you seen it? It is a weapon-like pattern, and the shape of the pattern is very similar to the Mingshuai sword in 9 Heavens Patterns of Gods. Everyone made a sensation again. Xiao Yu took a deep breath. Whether it was a dream or a fact, he understood deeply that as long as he had the opportunity to awaken the gods, he could follow the improved talent, and then he could use the momentum to break into the innate realm, and thus truly step into the ranks of practitioners. Since cultivation cannot allow him to break through the shackles and condense the sea of energy, then this sacrificial meeting is his last chance. He opened the God Run at the age of 8, and he can indeed be regarded as the proud child of heaven. The earlier the God Run is opened, the greater the future achievements. In the Qianbei dynasty, there were few people who were able to open the pattern, and all of them were people with strong talents or family heritage. A burly middle-aged man among the hundreds of civil and military officials laughed and said, "Aha! As expected of my son, there is a big banquet at the mansion tonight. Come over and drink a glass of wine, everyone. Call out. In the sky, many patterns of various shapes flew down. There were a lot of boys and girls here, there were hundreds of people, but the patterns that fell only reached less than 1/20th. Those who are favored by the of the gods are naturally very excited. As for those who have not activated the gods, they are naturally very lost, and some are crying bitterly. Family sorrow. No matter what kind of gods, it at least proves that this is a kind of talent and additional power. Of course, there are many patterns in 9 heavens patterns of gods, spread all over, and in fact they are relatively strong and weak. Just like some people awaken to the pattern on the hoe, this kind of pattern belongs to the artifact category, and it doesn't help cultivation and combat at all. So generally speaking, the pattern that is useless for combat and cannot increase the strength is called the chicken rib pattern. But in any case, the awakened pattern represents a kind of talent, even if it can't increase combat effectiveness, it is better than no awakening. Seeing that the sacrificial ceremony was over, Xiaoyu was still expecting something, but he still didn't have the favor of the gods. Today was the first day when Xiaoyu was 16. If he hadn't activated the God run, it would be almost impossible for him to activate it. In other words, starting from today, this last opportunity has been taken away, and Xiaoyu had to give up his cultivation and obtain fame instead. In the square in front of the temple, no one except Tang Linger was paying attention to Xiaoyu. He was just a drop in the ocean, or the one left behind. Even Xiao Wensheng, the patriarch of the Xiao family among the civil and military officials, sighed in his heart when he saw this. Xiaoyu. Tang Linger was very disappointed, and the initial expectations had vanished. As the ceremonial meeting came to a close, finally, even Xiaoyu himself was disappointed and turned into despair. Hey! Is this God's will? Xiaoyu looked unwilling. Just as the national teacher was about to announce the end, suddenly, Xiaoyu's skin with small arms suddenly became itchy. Xiaoyu is overjoyed. Is it because he wants to condense the pattern? But after a while, the lines still disappeared. Although there was no awakening God run, Xiaoyu's expression suddenly became ecstatic, and he actually felt a sea of anger condensed in his dantian. Boom! Suddenly, the spiritual power of heaven and earth was suddenly a sea of qi swarming into Xiaoyu's body. Innate realm. Originally everyone was going to disperse, but when they felt the vision of Xiaoyu's spirit fluctuating, they were startled, and everyone's eyes were attracted. How is it possible? Xiaoyu actually broke through to the innate realm. They looked at Xiaoyu's gaze more of a kind of suspicion. Breakthrough. Tang Linger cheered, and she almost ran up to be happy for Xiaoyu. Although Xiaoyu couldn't awaken the God rune, he broke through to the innate realm because of this. This means that Xiaoyu can continue to practice, and he has caught the last train of cultivation. The 8 prince and 7 prince who were not far from Xiaoyu were even more surprised. How could this be possible? But after a while, many people held a kind of contempt, especially those young girls. Hey, I didn't reach the innate realm until I was 16. Although I caught up, my achievements are limited. That's for sure, plus he doesn't have the awakened pattern, it is a blessing to be able to break through. Xiaoyu didn't care about other people's evaluations. Although there were many regrets for not being able to awaken, at any rate he had reached the innate realm. As long as he worked hard, it would not be a problem to break through to the qi-gathering realm. Xiao Wensheng was also pleasantly surprised. It seems that the Xiao family is about to produce a cultivator. It's just that Xiaoyu wasn't very happy, because he felt that his hands and forearms were itchy, as if something was breaking through the ground. The sacrificial meeting stipulated that as long as they broke through to the innate realm on this day, or awakened the pattern, they could lead 5 marrow pill. Xiaoyu hurriedly received the Shisue pill, without saying anything, immediately left the sacrificial platform and returned to his courtyard. In a short while, the changes on Xiaoyu's arm made his face change drastically. Shura God Emperor Chapter 4, either you get out, or I kill you. At this time, Xiaoyu unexpectedly discovered that his entire right arm had a black pattern with 3 heads and 6 arms, 3 sides in blue and black, the sun and the moon in his hands, and the larger the mountain with his feet standing on the sea. This pattern looks like a but not a god, a ghost but not a ghost, and it is not like a human being, like a monster between the 3 of human, ghost and god. But the face of this three-faced monster is very vivid, and it doesn't make people feel terrible at all. Xiao Yu had a strange and familiar feeling when he saw this shape. What kind of pattern is this? Why haven't you seen it in the Nine Heavens God pattern? This time it was Xiao Yu's turn to be shocked. If someone saw this strange pattern of humans, gods and ghosts, they would definitely be sentenced to death by evil spirits. At the same time, Xiao Yu was surprised to find that there was an extremely surging, but cryptic, power on his arms pattern. It seemed that there were many shackles and shackles. Xiao Yu only urged a little bit of strength, but he felt that his whole body was filled with a kind of fighting power. What a terrible power! Xiao Yu had never come into contact with a cultivator with a pattern, and he didn't know how powerful his pattern was. Suddenly, Xiao Yu found several figures in his yard. At first glance, it was Su Ming and his team of guards with swords. There were a total of 4. Xiao Yu's eyes were cold, and Su Ming was a bully. He was always a fox in the palace, and he often bullied people. Originally, he didn't feel any hatred for Su Ming, but since the dreaming thing that day, Xiao Yu couldn't wait to kill the person in front of him immediately. Xiao Yuning said, "Su Ming. Do you know this is the Xiao family mansion? You rush into my Xiao family compound, I can put you to death." Originally, Su Ming still had a lot of worries. After all, what happened last night really made him have the spirit of 12 points. After all, with the strength of himself and a group of guards with swords, he was blown away by Xiao Yu with a punch. It's incredible. But now when he saw Xiao Yu, he felt quite settled. Look at today's sacrificial meeting, it turned out to have reached the acquired realm early in the morning. In other words, last night, I also had a sudden burst of power after eating dog shit, and only then caught them off guard. He vowed that there would never be a third occurrence. Su Ming said coldly, "I came by the order of Hakioji, even in the palace, I can come and go freely. Are you qualified to kill me? What do you want?" Su Ming sneered, "How? I don't need to say some things. After what happened last night, I thought you were a sensible person. I didn't expect you to be obedient. Stop talking nonsense, and come out obediently." "Funny, what did I take from you?" Xiao Yu's eyes were also wink. "Huh, ordinary people say that young Master Xiao is a trash. From my point of view, your head is also broken," Su Ming said with a cold face. "Don't pretend to be crazy and sell stupid here. Although Shisue pill is not a treasure, but you are a person who does not reach the Qi gathering realm, you are not qualified to have it." "I deserve it, why should I take it out?" Xiao Yu retorted. Su Ming sneered, "The awakening god run is 5 marrow washing pills, and when you break through to the innate realm, there are also 5. Don't you think you have taken a big advantage? Or do you think you can be compared with the genius of awakening god run? Ratio?" Xiao Yu understood thoroughly, and he said coldly, "So the 8 princes are going to take advantage of the fire." Su Ming smiled and said, "It seems that you are not completely stupid yet. I will ask you one last thing, if I can't hand it over. A beast who is arrogant and powerful, I will also persuade you one last word, leave here, otherwise I will be rude to you." Xiao Yu's eyes focused on killing. "I really don't know something good or bad, shame you. Do you really think you can beat me when you reach the innate state? What happened yesterday can't happen again, do you still want to scare me?" If Hakioji hadn't said to take this marrow pill, he would not be willing to face this waste. Washing marrow pill is also considered a precious kind of spirit pill in the palace, and with the talent of the 8 princes, it is impossible for him to get so many marrow pill at once. Xiao Yu's face was gloomy and terrible, and he was being oppressed on the other end, and even a servant on this end looked down upon himself. It was tolerable or unbearable. "Either you get out, or I kill you." Senling's voice came, and the temperature of the entire venue dropped suddenly. The expressions of Su Ming and others changed drastically. They had never felt that Xiao Yu had such a cold killing intent, and they shuddered unconsciously. In their impression, Xiao Yu is no different from a weak scholar. Why has he become so murderous today? Could it be said that what happened yesterday really broke out suddenly? But Su Ming suppressed the shock and horror in his heart, and said angrily, "Well, you are a trash, you dare to disobey Hakioji's orders. Come here, tie him up for me." Hakioji said, deal with the rebels, even if it is using force. I don't hesitate to. Su Ming was confident that yesterday's shame was because they didn't resist, and they were accidentally attacked by Xiaoyu, so they were so embarrassed. But today is different, they are fully prepared, Hakioji also said, if you disobey the order, kill without mercy. Then he has nothing to worry about. The 8 guards with swords drew their swords one after another. Xiaoyu's eyes flashed with cold killing intent, he had never been so angry before. Master Xiao, I hope you don't make it difficult for us. Death is your choice. Xiaoyu uttered a word, his eyes gleaming with cold light. Shura God Emperor Chapter 5, The Power of Pattern. Xiaoyu's eyes were stunned, and at this moment, the black pattern of the monster with 3 heads and 6 arms on his arms suddenly turned blood red. An extremely terrifying power spread out, Xiaoyu's right hand suddenly showed a faint red light, and the astonishing killing intent enveloped everyone. No. How is it possible? What is this pattern? When Su Ming and a few guards saw the weird pattern on Xiaoyu's arm, they all felt shuddering. You awakened the pattern. Everyone looked at this scene in shock. The awakening divine mark hadn't shocked them so much. The most shocking thing was, what kind of divine mark was on Xiaoyu's arm? Like an evil spirit, like a man, and like a god. Xiaoyu said coldly, nothing is impossible, don't you say that I am a trash. Xiaoyu suddenly squeezed his fist, and he felt that his arm was filled with a very surging energy, and the whole person rushed over like a whirlwind, and then blasted up with a punch. Ah! With a scream, Su Ming's face turned pale, and he was blasted several meters away with a punch by Xiaoyu, vomiting blood. Su Ming's face was pale and frightened, he was in a congenital realm. He is in the early stage of gathering Qi realm. But he has no power to fight back at all. In other words, the power that Xiaoyu showed yesterday was not sudden. Xiaoyu! Do you dare to hurt me? Come here, this is a monster. Kill him. It was terrible, he had never seen such a weird god run, and intuitively told him that he would be a scourge if he didn't kill Xiaoyu. The 4 guards with swords all drew their swords and killed them towards Xiaoyu. Their strength was in the innate realm, and it was definitely the power of raising their hands to kill an innate realm. But when there was no doubt that Xiaoyu would die, Xiaoyu clenched his fist, slammed a fist, the red light flashed, and the 4 guards with knives were all knocked into the air and died. Su Ming's pupils suddenly shrank, is this still that wasteful young Master Xiao? What kind of pattern did he awaken? How could power be so terrible? Xiaoyu walked towards Su Ming step by step. Xiaoyu, you can't kill me. I belong to the 8 princes. If you kill me, the 8 princes will not let you go. Su Ming was finally scared, his mouth softened a lot. Xiaoyu's current appearance is very terrifying, and the temperament of a sickly bookworm has completely faded, and the whole person is full of very surging power. As long as you pass this level and tell Hakioji when you go back, this kid is dead. Xiaoyu's face was cold and without a trace of emotion. When you insult me from the moment, you should realize that it is too late. Xiaoyu picked up the knife on the ground, Su Ming's expression on the ground suddenly changed drastically. When he wanted to get up, Xiaoyu dropped his foot and Su Ming's palm was suddenly crushed. What? Then Xiaoyu cut off Su Ming's hand with a single knife. Su Ming's face was pale, crawling on the ground, begging for mercy, Xiaoyu, you let me go, Xiaoyu's anger had already taken his heart out, and he had not planned for Su Ming, and slashed Su Ming on the back again. Su Ming's pupils suddenly enlarged, until he died he didn't understand how Xiaoyu had become so powerful. The pattern on his arm suddenly faded, and Xiaoyu suddenly felt a dizzy sensation. He knew that he had not broken through to the Qi-gathering realm. This was the forceful activation of this mysterious pattern power that caused physical fatigue and emptiness. He just felt that he didn't have any strength in his whole body, as if he was emptied by something. After a while, he just fell down. When he woke up, he was asleep on the bed again. Xiao Wenqing beside the bed was already waiting anxiously. Father? Xiaoyu sat up. Xiao Wenqing supported him and said in surprise, Great, Xiaoyu, you are awake. You were scared to death just now. You fainted on the ground. Did you overpractice? Xiao Yu knew that he had killed someone and apologized. Father, I killed someone. What are you talking about? You didn't kill anyone. You were lying in the yard by yourself when I came. Xiao Wenqing said. Xiao Yu was stunned. He clearly killed Su Ming and the others. Why does his father say that there is no corpse? Did you dream again? Xiao Wenqing smiled and said, Hee, you have a good rest. Dad invited friends tonight to celebrate you finally breaking through the innate realm. Our Xiao family can finally get rid of the pen, but you have to promise Dad to take a good rest. Xiao Yu nodded, with some warmth flowing throughout his body. That night, the Xiao family mansion hosted a banquet for many officials. Xiao Yu attended with a lot of doubts. After the banquet was over, Xiao Yu came to the courtyard alone, the rhubarb still sleeping soundly under the tree. He was still thinking about killing Su Ming himself during the day. He obviously awakened the pattern and killed people. Why did Dad say there were no other people's bodies? Don't think about it, you are not dreaming. Shura God Emperor Chapter 6, Rhubarb shows the Holy Spirit. Xiao Yu was taken aback. He had lived here for 7 or 8 years, and no one except Tang Linger would come here on weekdays. Who would talk here during the day? Who? Come out. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Xiao Yu became vigilant. Now when the night is quiet, how can anyone find himself? But after a long while, there is still no one's breath. It's weird. Could it be my illusion? Xiao Yu shook his head and muttered to himself, it must be because I have been too tired from practicing recently, or because I have been too excited these 2 days. Just as Xiao Yu was preparing to cultivate, who knew that voice rang again. The voice was a little low, and it was like an adult man talking. Said you are not dreaming. Xiao Yu felt even more puzzled. He turned around and suddenly found that Rhubarb had slowly walked over, looking at himself with a pair of eyes. I don't know why, Rhubarb's eyes look even more awkward in the night. Huh? Rhubarb? Why did you wake up? Go to sleep. After Xiao Yu said he was going to stroke the Rhubarb's head as usual. Who knows that Rhubarb spit out, sleep your sister, sleep, I have spoken for the 3rd time. Xiao Yu was stunned, and then as if nothing had happened, he said, oh, it turned out to be Rhubarb. I'll just say who will come to talk to me at night. Rhubarb, stay here for a while, and I'll be right back. Xiao Yu turned his head and pinched his thigh fiercely. Ouch, I go, this is not a dream. Xiao Yu suddenly noticed that he was cold all over, turning around, De Huang said, yes, you are not dreaming. Xiao Yu shivered and almost fell to the ground. He immediately stepped back several steps, nervously, and said vigilantly, who are you, who are you? How can a dog talk? Rhubarb slowly walked over, its eyes were exceptionally bright. Xiao Yu began to gather and absorb the spiritual power of heaven and earth, and shouted, don't move. Are you a man or a ghost? No, are you a ghost or a dog? No, are you a man or a dog? Rhubarb said in a contemptuous tone, don't be so timid, kid, the spirit beast that can talk to people is gone, there is nothing to make a fuss about. Xiao Yu took a deep breath. He still didn't believe that the Rhubarb who had been with him for so many years could speak. You can talk early in the morning? The Rhubarb said, yes. Xiao Yu stared at the Rhubarb suddenly and asked, I obviously saw you killed that night. A few ants can kill me. As long as my soul is immortal, my body can grow out at any time. Rhubarb said proudly. Twice, did you carry me in? The first time was when I was so angry that I was in a coma that night, the second time was to kill Su Ming and the others, using the power of the unfamiliar pattern, exerting excessive force. Of course. Xiao Yu suddenly said, no wonder, I said it was not a dream. By the way, where are they now? Xiao Yu frowned and asked. To be honest, killing Su Ming and others, he was not afraid at all, or even worried, because he had this right, but it might be difficult for Hakioji to explain. Rhubarb said faintly, of course you will destroy the corpses. I will help you bury them. Xiao Yu nodded and said nothing. Su Ming belonged to the Hakioji. After the Hakioji discovered something was wrong, he would definitely find himself to settle the account. Fortunately, Rhubarb handled the bodies of Su Ming and others, otherwise Xiao Yu would be in trouble. These people like Su Ming looked at people low, committed the following crimes, and had bullied themselves for many years, and Xiao Yu had no pity or guilt at all. On the contrary, knowing that he had awakened the divine rune and broke through to the acquired realm, he realized that if he wanted to avoid being bullied by others, he only had strength, and only strong himself. Xiao Yu spit heavily and said, "Although I don't know how you came to be by my side, or why you vomit, I am about to start practicing." And many more. Shura God Emperor Chapter 7, Second World Space. What happened? Rhubarb said, "Do you remember the glass pendant you wore since childhood?" Xiao Yu suddenly remembered, wiped his neck, his face changed, and he looked around. Why is it missing? When Xiao Wenqing picked him up, he told him that the glass pendant had been worn since he was born. Although the birth mother is not as old as the foster mother, Xiao Yu now completely regards himself as the young head of the Xiao family, but if there is a chance in the future, he will still look for his own parents so as to ask them why they have the heart to abandon themselves. You don't need to look for it. It was broken by you last time. It is precisely because of this that I chose to help you. Rhubarb said. Xiao Yu didn't understand what Rhubarb's words meant, but Rhubarb said, "Try to condense your thoughts in your mind and see what happens." Xiao Yu didn't know, so he did. When his thoughts were condensed in his mind, at this moment, a strange scene appeared. Xiao Yu's consciousness suddenly entered a space full of starlight, and the starlight was far away from him, and it seemed to be very close to him. He felt that the time around him was fast, and in the space of this starry sky, Xiao Yu felt that his whole person was refreshed, and his spiritual platform was clear and bright. When he pulled out his consciousness, he looked at Rhubarb in shock. How could this be? The big ecliptic said, "That glass pendant is actually a bodyguard left by your mother. What you just entered is a second world. My mother." Xiao Yu muttered to himself. He knew that he was adopted by Xiao Wenqing, but he didn't expect to hear the words, "my mother." He shook his mind, and immediately asked, "What is the second world?" Simply put, it is the unique cultivation space created by the powerful themselves. In this space, they are the masters, who can open up and construct them. As the cultivation base becomes stronger, the second world will also grow. We live in this place is a huge world called the Nine Heavens world. Of course, you still can't touch this level. You just need to know that you can enter it and control the speed of time passing inside. Xiao Yu took a deep breath. He didn't expect that the gift his mother left to him was such a big gift. And you can control the passage of time. You try to see how fast the space elapses inside, the highest you can reach. Xiao Yu nodded and entered the second world again. He felt the passing of time and compared it with the time outside. 10 times. Xiao Yu exclaimed, he suddenly appeared in the same place and said, "The time inside is 10 times faster than the outside." In other words, 1 day in the outside world is 10 days inside. Yes, this is a great help to your cultivation. Of course, cultivating in it can also open your mind and clear your mind, because the second world is originally your own. In it, you can put your talents. The potential is developed to the greatest extent. Rhubarb said. Xiao Yu was overjoyed and disappeared into the same place again and entered the starry sky world. Without saying anything, he immediately meditated. Time passed by minute, and I don't know how long it took before Xiao Yu woke up. At the moment when he opened his eyes, he felt that his sea of qi had completely formed, the early stage of the qi gathering realm. When he came out, the sky was already bright, and the rhubarb was still sleeping in the cool under the big tree. Rhubarb, I broke through. I broke through in one night. Xiao Yu woke up the rhubarb excitedly. Rhubarb opened his eyes lazily and said, "Okay, I see, isn't it just the early stage of the Xiaoju Qi stage? Is there anything to be happy about? I am truly stepping into the ranks of cultivators. My cultivation for so many years has finally not been wasted." Xiao Yu was very excited, he finally succeeded, and no one will look down on him in the future. He secretly guessed in his heart, where is his own father and mother? You left such a big gift to yourself. Shura God Emperor Chapter 8, Xiao Yu determined. Although Xiao Yu who had just broken through was excited, he did not dare to neglect his cultivation. Years of practice have helped him develop good practice habits. He immediately swallowed the marrow pill he had received on the day of the sacrificial meeting, and swallowed them all in one breath. Washing the marrow pill entered the sea of qi and turned into an extremely powerful energy that expanded his meridians and limbs. It only took less than half an hour for the outside world to come out of the second world, and Xiao Yu had completely absorbed it. He felt that his physical body had become stronger, and the sea of qi also felt full. This is power. Xiao Yu shook his hand, feeling the power that was never seen in the early stage of the qi gathering realm. Xiao Yu felt that his talent was many times more powerful than before. He was now comfortable with cultivation and was full of confidence. He knew that this must be the awakened pattern that made him change so much. Rhubarb, tell me, what kind of pattern is this? Why is there no such pattern in Nine Heavens Pattern of Gods? With a movement in Xiao Yu's heart, his arms showed the pattern of the gods, ghosts and gods with 3 heads and 6 arms. God patterns are divided into levels. According to the 9 Heavens God pattern, there are 3 levels of heaven, earth and human. Although the Qianbei dynasty has a vast land and rich resources, for so many years, no one has heard of anyone who has awakened the earth level and heaven level gods. These 2 levels of gods are said to be only those legendary superpowers and talented geniuses will be reached at the beginning. Otherwise, the patterns of ordinary people are gradually promoted from the first rank of human level. Different patterns have different effects and different abilities, so they are also divided into strengths and weaknesses, because in the 9 Heavens God pattern, there are several categories of patterns. The artifacts are patterns, natural patterns, and special patterns. Artifacts, as the name suggests, are weapons and other items. The most representative of the department of nature is the 5 elements, as well as other derogatory natural forces. Others are classified as special patterns. When Rhubarb saw this, suddenly the whole body stood up. Then, a strange scene appeared. Rhubarb's body gradually became huge, slowly becoming 3 meters long and 1 meter tall. Its yellow hair has also become a sky blue, and its abdomen and limbs have become more powerful. What made Xiao Yu feel most incredible was that Rhubarb's head gradually became ferocious. It was a wolf head. Rhubarb is a wolf. This wolf was awe-inspiring, standing there like an ancient divine beast, and immediately surrounded by a noble and violent aura. This. Xiao Yu was completely taken aback. De Huang stared at him extremely sharply, as if he was about to eat him. Rhubarb, are you crazy? You, don't come. Finally, those breaths disappeared completely, and the rhubarb returned to the appearance of a dog. I can only tell you that you are called the Shura divine mark. Make good use of this power. One day you may have a chance to be among the ranks of the 9 Heavens world powers. Rhubarb spoke, his eyes piercing. Sura pattern. Xiao Yu murmured at the corner of his mouth. I don't know why, seeing this pattern, Xiao Yu suddenly burned with blood. However, the level of the pattern is relatively weak, and it is also the first human level. If I reach the level you said, I have a chance to find my biological parents. In fact, he already wanted to ask Rhubarb clearly about his own parents. Xiao Yu grew up in the family of scholars. Xiao Yu, although his talent for cultivation is weak, but in the atmosphere of the pen of the Xiao family, and the ears and eyes, he is talented and intelligent. He understood that the glass pendant left by his own parents and the pattern called Sura God pattern, that appeared for no reason by himself without going through the sacrificial meeting must be extraordinary. Even, he vaguely felt that his life experience was a mystery, and his parents were even more powerful. The rhubarb said, yes, but what? You have to work harder than others to cultivate, because the path you choose will be longer and more dangerous than others. You have to think carefully. In fact, as long as you are the young master of the Xiao family, you can live in peace. After this life, so you have to think about it. Xiao Yu's eyes were firm, and said, I have thought about it, or that, since I was born, I never thought that I would live this life peacefully. In fact, it was an awakening, a breakthrough, and a firmer determination of Xiao Yu's pursuit of strength, and now he still has his own life experience. Rhubarb's eyes admired and didn't say much, it just felt that no matter what Xiao Yu decided, it would do everything it could to help him. Now that he had decided, had made a breakthrough, and had the excellent training place of the second world, Xiao Yu now desperately needed a cultivation technique and spiritual skills suitable for him. Shura God Emperor Chapter 9, Shura Art. Because when you reach the Qi gathering realm, you can start to truly absorb the spiritual power of heaven and earth to practice. So you need exercises to absorb the spiritual power of the world, and spiritual skills are a combat skill. But Xiao Yu had a headache, because the Xiao family had hundreds of years of foundation and history, but they were all literati and ink men who used pens. Xiao Yu was the first cultivator, so he was looking for exercises and spiritual skills. You must go to the store to buy it. Don't have a headache, it seems that you haven't got a deep understanding of your Azura pattern. Rhubarb said. Yes, this power is a bit strong, I'm afraid I can't control it well. Don't be afraid, because there is an exercise in it, you can control it after you have practiced it. Xiao Yu was startled, he immediately realized introvertedly that the Azura tattoo on his arm, and suddenly, his mind was shocked by a powerful and mysterious technique. Sura Art. Xiao Yu was surprised and delighted, the Azura pattern really contained a technique. The name of this exercise is called Shura Ju. In just a few moments, Xiao Yu remembered the cultivation method of Shura Ju, and the deeper he understood, the more shocked. He found that the Shura secret art was very deep and vast, it was simply a great classic. Xiao Yu asked in confusion, this Shura art is very powerful, but what rank does it belong to? Cultivation methods and spiritual skills have ranks. According to the world, there are 7 levels of red, orange, yellow, green, blue and purple. The Qianbei dynasty has a vast land and abundant resources, and although Qi Pin's techniques and spiritual skills are numerous, they are also very diverse. As for orange products, they are relatively precious in the capital. As for yellow products, there are even fewer. They are almost rare. And in each level, according to the level of comprehension of the spiritual skills, the secular rank cannot be compared with the Shura Ju. Your practice is based on your comprehension to continuously increase its strength. Of course, the Shura power you cultivate will be much stronger than that of the same level. Explained. Xiao Yu suddenly said, the problem of the technique is solved, but I still need spiritual skills. Without spiritual skills, I can only use my fists and feet. At this moment, a ray of light from Rhubarb hit Xiao Yu's mind, saying, it contains the techniques and spiritual skills I have collected over the years. You can choose the right one to practice. Of course, your Shura tactics does not conflict with the other exercises inside. Xiao Yu's expression was suddenly overjoyed. The brief joy did not make him lose his mind. He said solemnly, Rhubarb, why are you helping me like this? As long as you know that I am not malicious to you, you will naturally know others when your strength reaches a certain level. Rhubarb went to bed after speaking. Xiao Yu secretly vowed that he would not disappoint Rhubarb's expectations. Xiao Yu returned to the room. What he didn't know was that Rhubarb, who originally said he was going to sleep, opened his eyes and looked at the shadow inside the door, his eyes gleaming with a deep light. It thought of the words Xiao Yu said to it that day. Even if it is desperate, I will protect you. Boy, don't worry, as long as I'm still by your side, I will try my best to teach you. Xiao Yu was not in a hurry to find other exercises to cultivate. He wanted to first understand the Shura secret art. At the same time, he found an orange spirit skill called Yuan Qi Manxiang to practice. Xiao Yu originally planned to find a yellow level or green level spiritual skill, but the high-level spiritual skill is not only expensive, but also requires a high level of cultivation to support it, otherwise the spiritual skill will not only be activated. The most powerful force will also make you fall into a place of failure. The original Qi Man elephant has 3 levels. The first is the bull collision, which has the collision power of a bull. The second stage, the tiger descends the mountain, possessing the powerful power of the tiger. The third level, Biantian Mercedes-Benz, the power of the group like Mercedes-Benz, can break boulders. The higher the number of Yuan Qi Manxiang's training, the stronger the strength. With Xiao Yu's strength in the early stage of the Qi gathering realm, he can now understand the first stage at best. But even if it was the first level, it could give Xiao Yu a very powerful forced drink. Xiao Yu didn't go to the big campus, but practiced against the big tree in his yard. Xiao Yu's waist sank, his whole body was full of savage aura like a savage bull, and immediately afterwards he blasted a punch. Crack! The big tree surrounded by the three was smashed. Xiao Yu was not afraid of hard work. He practiced repeatedly with one punch until he was sweating profusely. Then he resumed meditating and then woke up to continue practicing. This was his practice during the day. In the evening, Xiao Yu entered the second world and comprehended the Shura secret art. About 3 days later, Xiao Yu's first weight finally reached the point of perfection. Xiao Yu has reached a bottleneck in his cultivation. He found Rhubarb and said, "Rhubarb, you have a lot of spiritual skills. Can I get one in exchange for money? My body is still too weak, and I need to buy a pill to strengthen my body." The body is a large container, and the sea of air is inside the container. Only when the container is strong, can it endure the attack from the outside, and at the same time, it can expand the meridians and sea of air, so that the quantity of the container of one's body becomes larger. Yes, but don't go out with too high-end, otherwise it will arouse people's suspicion. Understand? Shura God Emperor Chapter 10, Leaps and Bounds. Xiao Yu chose an orange spirit skill called Bengshanquan, and then copied down all the techniques. Before going out, Xiao Yu brought his cloak specially and went out from the back alley. In the royal capital, there are many guards. He does not want to be recognized. In addition, in the royal capital, although the orange spirit skills are not very precious, they are relatively rare. There are very few orange spirits in circulation on the market. Technique. Ordinary cultivators don't have the money to purchase orange-grade spiritual skills. Even in the palace, it's hard for ordinary princes to have the opportunity to practice. And Huan-grade spiritual skills are even more important. Only the genius children of officials, or the princes and princesses who were born directly, are qualified to practice. As for the green product, it is said that there is only one in the entire Qinbei dynasty, and that is in the hands of the royal family. Xiao Yu had already thought about it before he came out. If Lingji wanted to sell for a good price, he had to put it in the auction. Xiao Yu found the largest auction in the capital city, and only such a big auction would he dare to follow along. Even within the spirit skills of the same rank, there are strengths and weaknesses. Xiao Yu is confident that the orange rank spirit skills he has chosen are definitely stronger than those in the palace. Entering the auction, a middle-aged deacon entertains Xiao Yu. "This lord, I don't know if you want to participate in the auction, or if there is something to be auctioned at our auction. I have this orange spirit skill to auction, and let your appraisal master come out." Xiao Yu lowered his voice and reduced his breath to make himself mysterious. The deacon was shocked. In their auction house, it would be difficult to have an orange product for sale in 1 month. Today is a big deal. "My lord, wait a minute." After a while, the deacon brought out an old man with gray hair. The old man glanced at the man in the cloak, and thought to himself that he did not want to be seen as his true face. "My lord, please show me the spiritual skills so that the old man can identify it," the old man said. Xiao Yu handed it over. The font of this book is very new, but the content in it is not new at all. The old man was very surprised after reading it for a while. He finally couldn't help carefully exploring the breadth of the cloaked man, but he found nothing. He couldn't see the strength of the cloaked man. There are several explanations for this situation. First, this cloaked man is very strong, even stronger than him. Second, the cloaked man's practice is very powerful, so powerful that he can hide his aura. Third, there is a hidden treasure in this person. But no matter what kind, it was enough to scare him. Xiao Yu also felt the aura swept toward him. Fortunately, the strength of this old man was not much higher than himself, otherwise the Shura art could not hide his aura no matter how powerful he was. "Do you want to check my details? If so, I won't auction it." Xiao Yu said coldly. "Senior, please calm down. I apologize for the offense just now." The old man respectfully apologized. The deacon next to him was very surprised. This is the chief appraiser of his own auction. To be so respectful, how old is this person? How much does this spirit skill cost? The old man said, the initial price is 500,000 gold coins. If the auction is successful, our auction will charge a 5% commission. I don't know what the predecessors want. I guess the price of this spiritual skill will be millions of gold coins. Okay, do as you said. Xiao Yu said. The old man and the deacon left the reception room, and the deacon frowned. Master, isn't our auction rule charging a 10% commission? Why do you? Shoo, I saw this man's shoes just now. Only high-ranking nobles are qualified to wear those shoes, and this spiritual skill is more powerful than ordinary orange-grade spiritual skills, so we will treat him as a face, and we will not lose. Then, do you want to report? I don't need it for the time being. If this matter reaches the palace, our auction will probably suffer. Hurry up and prepare for the auction. Naturally, this orange peculiar skill has not only become the finale, but also attracted officials of all sizes in the royal capital. Many high-ranking officials and nobles heard that this spiritual skill was counted among the orange products, and they all came to the auction. And in the end, the auction ended successfully. Beng Shengquan was shot away for 1.5 million. When he learned of this person, Xiao Yu was very surprised. This person turned out to be a Hakioji. But after thinking about it, he was relieved. The royal family is very fierce. The 8th prince is not a direct line of the queen's empress, but the daughter of a prince's noble family. In fact, he is also a first-rate concubine. In the royal family, cultivation resources are allocated based on the level of talent. Except for the lineage of the queen, the other princes are reduced to bastards. It is conceivable how scarce their cultivation resources are. According to the trading rules of the auction, the final items need to be handed over on the spot. Xiao Yu knew that he was the Hakioji, and he was not afraid that the Hakioji would recognize him. He was no longer what he used to be. Hakioji, this is the senior of Beng Shengquan. The old man introduced. Although he said he was a senior, the Hakioji had a knighthood in the royal capital, and even the royal family didn't have many people who could make him salute. He proudly said, yes, your Bengshan boxing suits me well, don't know how to call it. To be honest, Hakioji wanted to get to know this person, and he lacked resources for cultivation. If you make friends, maybe you won't have to worry about spiritual skills in the future. Xiao Yu sneered in his heart, this guy wanted to make friends with himself, but he couldn't let it go. The Nomura husband in the countryside does not dare to climb high. Here is the mental method of Beng Shengquan to cooperate with the practice. The training route of Beng Shengquan was written down, but in the end, the most important formula must be handed over to complete the transaction. Hakioji took it, and one glance was naturally overjoyed. The transaction was successful and the commission was deducted. Xiao Yu left the auction as soon as possible because Xiao Yu found that someone was following him. Hakioji really didn't give up and sent someone to follow him. Fortunately, Xiao Yu went through from left to right, and got rid of the man after going around half a circle. He found a place to throw away the cloak, and then went to the pill shop to buy the pill. For more than $1 million, he actually bought only 5 active pills, which made Xiao Yu very helpless. Huolua Dan is a spirit pill 1 level lower than Shisui pill, but it is better than nothing. Finally understand that cultivation is to burn money. Xiao Yu was helpless. After returning, he hid in the second world dimension and began to practice. Along with the expansion of Xiao Yu's meridians and the increase in intensity, Xiao Yu finally felt the benefits of a strong body. After 10 days in the second world space, Xiao Yu fully comprehended Yuan Qi Manxiang's second stage. And his strength also naturally broke through to the middle stage of the Qi gathering realm. On this day, Hakioji suddenly came to find himself. Xiao Yu, come out and visit Li's house with me.